Evening, and welcome to Real Talk with T. Holmes this evening. This evening, when I think about motivation, I think about inspiration, I think about inspiring, I think about uplifting. So today, I come inspiring and uplifting you to go forth and be great. When we think about inspiration, we think about things that we go through, and we must dust that dirt off your shoulders and keep going. For the last 2 weeks, I talked about how Satan had been on my ass. But guess what? As of today, we will no longer give Satan no type of invites on Real Talk with T. Holmes. So even during the weeks that Satan is on my ass, that means that you will see the praise to go forth and forth and forth. So today, I want to leave you with the inspiration, the motivation of no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapon formed against my children shall prosper. No weapon formed against my family shall prosper. No weapon formed against my business shall prosper. So today I want everybody to have the embracement of Sarah Jakes. Like she said week before last, I wish your weapon would. So this week I inspire you to go forth and be great. I inspire you to be motivated. Call somebody today you haven't spoken to in a while. Just text them, reach out to them and say, hey, I love you. Go forth and be great. Thank you. Okay, so thank you for tuning in this evening. This evening, our topic will be beyond loss to self validation. Now, this topic has a disclaimer, meaning that it's no age limit or a gender preference. So, with that being said, that means that this is for any woman, any man, because at some point in time, we all will experience or have experienced being lost in life. So, today, Real Talk, we would like to welcome our guest for the evening. Miss Latoya Wilson. She is the founder and owner of LR Wilson Consulting LLC, plus size freelance model, ghostwriter, lead media correspondent, and columnist for Pretty Women Hustle magazine and core team. From Minnesota to Nashville, Tennessee, please welcome Latoya Wilson. I am great, Latoya. How are you?
Yes. 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 Claim it. Claim it. Yes. Sure. So I am a mother of four and a half because I have a bonus baby as well. I am in my day job. I am a probation officer, career probation officer in the largest county here in Minnesota. I own LR Wilson Consulting LLC, where, like you said before, I'm a empowerment lifestyle coach. So what I do is I help coachees to attain goals that they are unable to attain on their own, as well as a ghostwriter, as you said in my bio. To start out, I have been in Minnesota almost 30 years now. Almost 30 years. I am from Greenville, Mississippi. So I'm from the Southside Garden Apartments. You guys know where that is, the projects. So started from the bottom. Now we're here for real. So I grew up there in a single mother household. I have four sisters on my mom's side, and I also have siblings on my dad's side. I have four sisters as well as two brothers on my dad's side. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, like I said, I grew up with a single mother in a single mother household, and the morals and values that were instilled in us were to work, 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 work. I'm the oldest person in the household. You know, I'm the oldest sibling, rather, for my siblings. And at my mom worked two and three jobs at a time, so a lot of times I was the mother figure in the house, raising my three sisters, looking after them. And because of that, you know, I didn't really have a childhood. It's not to say that my mom was the reason for it or anything, but she had to do what she had to do and she had us, so we needed to take care of home. You know, so and I applaud her for, you know, instilling those values in us about family and making sure that we take care of home. Um, Later on in life, you know, I got pregnant with my daughter. I was 16 years old when I got pregnant with my daughter. Also, my mom had me as a teenager, and my sisters all had kids as teenagers as well, except for my baby sister. So that broke the mold right there. That broke the generational curse of teenage pregnancy. And I'm proud to say my daughter was not a teenage mom as well. So I'm a teenage mom. I was already taking care of kids anyway, but to take care of your own kid, that's something totally different. Like you have to grow up real, real fast, you know, to do that.
Okay, now, of course, at the age of 16, like, I would have been devastated to have to go home and tell my mom I was pregnant at 16 because she was not playing no games, honey. She let it be known, you and that little baby's going to be gone. So I was scared. Like, she didn't play no games with us. So, okay, so you basically gave me my next question, and I thank you for breaking it down as far as what it was like. Like you said, your mom display the morals and values, and it was work, work, work. And I kind of can relate to that as well too. I am the oldest girl of four, and so I kind of grew up like as the mom of my siblings as well too, because my mom always worked two and three jobs to make sure that we had. So that kind of takes out not being able to just enjoy life as a teenager.
Yes.
However, we see that you was having fun because honey, you got pregnant at 16. Not throwing any shade,
Yes.
just so but all at the same time. So you said you had your baby girl at 16, and then you got married at what age?
Yeah, I was actually married at 16 as well. So I got married. In I had my daughter in November, and I got married to my first husband, to her dad, in December of the year that she was born. Lord, how long? 1990. So got married to him in December and moved away at that time, out of state, out of my mom's house, you know. And my grandfather automatically was saying, "Oh, you got this baby, so when y'all get married?" You know, that's the Southern way, you know. So that was it. So it was like there was no, well, I don't want to marry him, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, I felt like I was grown. You know, I had a baby, so I mean, I'm grown now. I can do whatever I want to do, honey. That was
Co-
not the
Correct, correct. Now, what was your mindset? If you can think back that far, what was your mindset at 16? You go from being a mother to your siblings, a big sister, now you have a baby of your own, now you're married, you moved out. Of course, our mindset is, our body is telling us as a woman that we're grown.
yeah.
The life that we're living is telling us we've grown, but typically our mind is really not there in a grown woman's place. So, what was your mindset if you can think?
Absolutely. So, first of all, I just was in awe that I would have this white picket fence and this lovely house and this child and this the whole works, what they show on TV. And honey, I was in for a rude awakening because that is not what happened. So my mindset was like, wow, I'm here with this baby. Like I was out, I moved to California with him. He was in the military. And I was in a state by myself with no family other than him. And he had family out there. I didn't. So it was surreal, but at the same time, it was like I really wanted to be at home. I really wanted to be a kid, but I had a kid to look after. So that was my first priority. And like you said, our mindset plays everything for us. I was in school at the time as well. I was finishing school, and I'll never forget before I left my house, my mom, she made me promise that I would graduate high school. So I kept that promise. Not only did I graduate high school, I graduated a year early with honors. So that had to happen. I felt like I owed that to her and to myself because, like I said, and when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't like find out like right away. Like I was 4 months pregnant when I found out I was pregnant. So, I mean, I was a cheerleader. I was doing all these things, all these activities. So I didn't start showing until after I found out. And I was like, I was 16 weeks when I found out, and I started showing like immediately following that time. So it
Right.
was, my mindset was like really all over the place. And getting back to the first question about how I found, like you were talking about how you told your mom how you couldn't tell your mom or whatever. I didn't tell my mom. My grandmother lived with us at the time. And my grandmother called me to come stand in front of her. And I went to stand in front of her, and she said, "You done went and broke your leg." And I was like, "There's nothing wrong with me." And she was like, "You pregnant?" I was like, "No, I'm not." And she's like, "Yes, you are." And she's the one who told my mom. So, I mean, I didn't have to tell her, but it came out.
Correct. So I'm sure even with grandmother telling her, now my granny was cool. She probably, Tam, girl, what is you thinking? You done had a baby. Then my mom, she wasn't gonna play no games under no circumstance. So I probably would have had to take a whole nother route had I went home pregnant at 16. Okay, so
Yeah.
you pregnant, you 16 weeks, you cheering, you doing all these activities in school. That's a great thing. You move away. So one thing that had cheers come to my body is because you said that your mom made you promise that you would graduate. Like that touched me because that right there gave me the intentions that okay, you knew that just because you had, not to say that your baby was a mistake, but you
Yeah.
had sex unprotected, you got pregnant, but still you strive to go forward. And then now you graduate from high school and you graduate with honors. That's a great thing because a lot of times at 16, sometimes depending on the environment that people grow up in will determine if they try to strive even farther. Okay, so
Absolutely.
you get pregnant, you graduate high school with honors, and you said your first husband was in the military, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now a divorce is on the table. A divorce is on the table. So at that time, if you're honest, do you think that um, you were starting to lose yourself then with so much information going on? I mean,
To
with
be
so
quite
much,
honest, I
different.
didn't even know who I was then. So I didn't know who I was then to even lose myself because I was so involved in making sure that I had this perfect life and this perfect family with this new baby. I'm a teenager. I don't really know what's going on. My emotions, my hormones are all over the place. But I know my first priority is to take care of this baby no matter what. So that's what I did. We went our separate ways. I went back to Mississippi. And then shortly thereafter, I moved to Minnesota. So I moved to Minnesota. My husband that I had afterwards, I brought him with me from Mississippi. So I brought him with me to Minnesota, and things were really good. We had children together, a mortgage, the whole 9 yards, everything together. Life was good. I mean, I was 18. No, I was 17, going on 18, because I'll never forget I couldn't even sign for my own apartment because I wasn't 18 yet. So no landlord would rent to me. So I recall my mom having to have my mom sign paperwork for me to get an apartment because I had just turned 18 here in Minnesota. Um, then like I said, we had our kids and everything. Life is grand. Everything. I went to school. Um, Life happened as it may. We separated. My marriage, the demise of that, that's neither here nor there. There's no blame, shame game there. But I do want to say that that marriage, in my second marriage, ended, and things were, a little rocky because I didn't know who I was. I was with this man for 20 since I was 17. So 17 years old. Yeah, I was with him since I was 17. And we
Mhm.
got divorced 2018. So I had been with him that whole time. With him at that whole time. And any marriage has its ups and downs.
Correct.
Not to mention I had got out of another marriage, out of that situation into this one. We didn't get married right away. We were dating, or shacking, whatever you want to call it, for years before we even got married. So we had 3 kids. One, two, three. I had to count on counting my daughter, my 2 boys. So we already had 3 kids before we even got married. So we were together for many years before then. During that time, I was determined to make it work. You know, we all have faults. We all have things that we regret. We all have things that if we could do it over, we would have did it over 10,000 times. If we knew what was coming before it happened, we would stop it. But that wasn't the case. So things happened in our marriage. The marriage dissipated. And during that time of the divorce, I'll never forget that I didn't truly know if I wanted to divorce all the way until the day we got to the courthouse. Because I knew I loved this man. I love this man. When I say I love this man, I love this man.
You
you
loved
know,
him, girl. You
I
loved
love.
him.
So I wasn't even sure then, what I wanted to do, because even though we had been through all that stuff, I still remembered all the good times and all the trials and tribulations that we had together to get to where we are, where we were at the time. And but I lost myself in that respect because I was so worried during my marriage that I was taking care of the kids once again, taking care of the kids, making sure he had what he needed, always putting, as a mother and as a woman, you put yourself on the back burner a lot of times because you want to make sure that everybody else is okay. And the thing is, you're not okay,
Mhm.
but you don't know it. You just function like that. That's
Mhm.
your natural functioning because we were built to sustain. We were built to conquer. So
Mhm.
that's what we do. If nobody can make it happen, mama gonna make it happen. Okay.
Look, I thought about a quote my son had on his Instagram a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to all the mamas that make shit happen. So, but
Yes.
and that is true. Now, nothing to take nothing away from the fathers and the daddies that's out there
Absolutely.
that's doing what they supposed to do. Okay, so
Yeah.
let me back up just a little bit, cause look, girl, I need a drink.
Go
And
ahead. I wish
so
I would have known. I would have brought a drink too.
okay, so let me back up just a little bit. So you say that in the midst of how long did you all date?
Let's see. We didn't get married until our baby son is 15, and I think we got married maybe two. We got married in 2001, and he was born in 2005. So we got married 4 years before he was born, and we were together since 1991. So I am no mathematician, so somebody calculate that. A long
So
time.
okay, okay, so that's a total of, from what I calculated before marriage, 19 years.
Yeah.
19 years.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, so now let me say this right here. I can kind of relate. I mean, I didn't shake up that long, and it's nothing against shaking up because my husband and I dated for 7 years prior to
Hmm.
getting married. Um, but I too can relate in being lost because, of course, we have a total of 4 kids. Well, 4.5 because I have another niece that I help raise. But in the midst of that, as a woman, we do lose ourselves because,
Yeah.
again, as you said, you're trying to make sure that the kids got, you're trying to make sure that he has whatever it is that he needs to be productive on a daily basis. And I can truly say that I can relate in the midst of what it's like to get lost. But in the midst of you getting lost, when was it a time when you realized, okay, Latoya, you lost, we got to do something about this? Or was it ever just pretty much you going on with your everyday life? Because, like, for me, I am that person to be like, I'm okay, even when I'm not
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yep.
happy, even when I'm not happy.
Yep.
And Rochelle can attest, she had to tell me a couple of weeks ago, girl, your ass is human, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But for me, that's kind of like a disgrace, not a disgrace, should I say?
I
But for
know what
me,
you mean.
it's a downfall for me because I'm not an emotional person. I'm not a person that can cry. If I can be at my lowest of life, and I would not shed a tear. If you see me shed a tear, I'm past it. So, at what point was you like, okay, Latoya, you gotta get your shit together? You lost. You got these kids over here, and you say you have 4.5 kids, right? So we got a bonus child. So as a woman, a bonus child means what?
My bonus baby, we were not together when he had my bonus baby. So that's my love, my heart, my baby. So that we weren't together then, but I treat her and claim her just like she's my own, because children don't ask to be here, and children are wonderful and they are to be loved.
Oh,
So that's
absolutely.
I give her all my love.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Look, shout out to the bonus babies because kids are, and as a woman, I adapt to kids too. So,
oh
my
yeah,
husband and I, we pretty much a lot of the nieces and nephews and the cousins has lived with us. So, I love kids, and despite whether you and your husband was together or not, that shows more of a real woman that you are. That you take a baby in,
mhm.
even
Yeah,
during you all separation because you all was still married, right? But just
yeah,
separate. Okay,
yeah.
so
Yep.
now we're at a point. So I want to reiterate back on to once a divorce was filed, the
Hmm.
divorce is filed, but you still lost at this point, right?
Yes, yes, very
Okay,
lost.
you still lost. The divorce has been filed, and like you say, even on up to the day of the divorce, you like, okay, do I really want to go through this? Do I really want to? Um, disgrace my family? Do I really want to pull my family apart? Because when the kids are involved, I know for a woman, a lot of times I hear is that I stay for the kids. I stay for the kids. I stay for the kids. And sometimes staying for the kids can sometimes make the situation worse, especially if it's a lot of bickering and arguing in between. But if things are kind of calm and kind of settled and you all can talk about things, then that's a different story. But now you got kids because sometimes if your kids are anything like my kids, like my oldest son, he ain't gonna ask no questions for say. The middle boy, he like his mama. He gonna ask, he wanna know. And then that baby boy of mine, yeah, he gonna ask you all kind of questions and give you the answer of what you think or what he thinks should be answered. So you definitely don't want to pull the kids in between grown people situations because I was brought up. You never put kids in the middle.
Mhm.
But was it a time before the divorce was final that you got the kids pulling and tugging between mama and daddy?
I don't know. I can't answer for them if they were pulling and tugging because I don't know how they felt during that time. I know I masked a lot of my pain, a lot of my hurt and everything. So I made sure I didn't want them to see that. I didn't want them to see that part. I didn't want them to see me going through things, which also led. I'll back up for just a second to answer your previous question when you said about the divorce up to the date I was still lost. I was still completely lost. And the thing was, the moment that I knew I had to pull my shit and get it together was when I was literally at the kitchen sink and it was stopped up and I didn't know how to unstop it.
Okay. Okay. So basically
Like
now,
I broke down at that moment. That's when like reality was like, oh shit, he ain't here. Like for real, for real. Like he wasn't there to do that. And I know it might sound minute. I know it might be like, damn, she too dumb. She got a master's degree and she don't know how to unstop the sink. It was deeper than that, but I didn't know I was there yet. I was stood there and I broke down at that moment thinking, I don't know how to unstop the sink. So for that, in that moment, I knew that I needed to do something. I needed to figure it out. And that's what I had to do. As far as the children being in between, my kids, they were adults then. We only had my son who's 15 now. We only had him at home. The other kids are adults, moved out in college and doing whatever. But I never really talked about what was going on with us unless they asked or something. I hid like crying and breaking down, all those things. And in the midst of me hiding all that is when I would come home, drink, take a sleeping pill, go to sleep. Drink, take a sleeping pill, go to sleep. That was my normal routine. Go to work. It was like I was like a robot. Go to work, come home, give them something to eat, take a sleeping pill, give me some wine, go to sleep. Take a sleeping pill, give me a shot of Patron, go to sleep. That was my in and out, in and out, in and out. And then one of my sons told me that he had a dream, and he told me he don't want me doing that. In that moment, I stopped, like cold turkey, stopped everything, because I needed to figure out what it was I was going to do. How was I going to get through it? So the divorce happened. Everything went through it. I held an event, Tequila, which is my blog, and it's about my life, and it also has poetry in it because I do spoken word and all that stuff. Girl, I do all type of stuff. If you name it, I probably already did it too. So I did that, and this event, every step of the way, when the venue was played for, I cried. When I picked out the seating chart, I cried. When the colors were given to me, I cried because this was part of my empowerment. This was part of me stepping out on my own, in myself, learning who I was, because it was time. It was scary. It was scary as hell. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm very confident in everything, but when it comes to being assertive about myself, in my own right, accepting compliments, getting help, I never ask for help. If I ask you for help, then I must be at rock bottom. I really, really need some help. I was
Okay.
never raised to ask for help. I never remember my mama asking anybody for anything. So that's my mentality. That's what I knew. And it
Okay.
wasn't until I had that empowerment event that I knew that I could do it. Like, oh my God, okay, I am myself. Like I want you guys to remember, ladies and gentlemen, you were somebody before you got with that person. You're still there. You just got to come back out.
Okay. Um, Latoya, I look. You said so much that was so inspiring and so no, and I'm forever grateful. Okay, so let me just backtrack. Let me backtrack because you said it wasn't until when the sink got stopped up, correct?
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't until the sink got stopped up. Now you got to stand on your own 2 feet. Now you got to be the mother, of the house, the woman of the house. So tell me, how did you get the sink? Did you call another plumber, or did you go get some Drano, or what?
Well, first of all, I called him because that's all I knew.
Correct.
That's all I knew was to call him to come and fix it. But so he did come over to fix it, but he was unable to fix it. And then what I actually ended up having to call a plumber because it was a deeper issue than either one of us could. Well, first of all, I couldn't fix it no way because my mind was not in the right mind frame to do nothing. And I wasn't used to doing any of that. Like he handled all the quote unquote men work, you know.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
He did the fix the yard, fix stuff that broke down. That was not my avenue. So I did not know what to do.
Absolutely, and I can say I stay in my own lane too. I say
Right.
because I've told my husband I don't want to have to wear the pants and the skirt or the high heels and the slacks. So I definitely want to stay in my own lane as well. But okay, so he comes over in the midst of this. You all going, the divorce is in play now. Now that the divorce is in play, you got the kids as you like you said. You're not for certain if they pull in sudden. You just got baby boy that's at home that's 15 years old, correct?
At the time he was I think 12 or 13 or 12, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so he's 12 years old. So he's not necessarily understanding. All he knows is mom and daddy because that's all
Right.
he's seen.
And
Correct.
that's all he's ever known is mom and daddy. So
Correct. Correct. And there's one thing about a mother, our job is to protect our children. And in the midst of protecting, is certain things that we will not or do not never allow them to see. So I applaud you for that. For just keeping it subtle all the way across the board. But in the midst of that, now let's fast forward to the divorce because the day of. Now you said you really wasn't for certain if that's really what you wanted to do because you still lost at this time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So if I can think back just on what you're saying, it's kind of really sound like you started being lost as a child, just
Yes.
having to be a grown woman at the time when you was a child. So I can relate to that all the way around the board. I can relate. Um, so now we are the day of the divorce. You know, your mind playing tricks on you. I'm sure you have been in prayer and meditation. Like, this really what I want to do. You get
Yes.
to court. You sign the degrees in place. Bam, you divorce. Okay, you
It
divorce in
was
a
speeded up, but yes, because it took
okay.
a few hearings, but yes, it finally happened.
Okay, okay. So y'all made a battle back and forth on this and that and that and this. So now we at the divorce. Okay. So now we divorce. It's official at this point.
Yes.
Because in the beginning, although you separated, you still married, you know, you still carrying the last name, but now it's official. Tell me what that's like to officially be divorced. Now that means that nothing that you say or do is, you know, an aspect to him, and then vice versa.
Yes. So the day of the divorce, when I got to court, she called my name and I started crying. I mean, because I was not ready. I truly was not ready. And so I was like, just let's just do it, you know. And like I said, there are a couple of hearings that happened. Then it was final. Then after that third hearing, when we actually got divorced and I left the courtroom, the first two times we went to the hearings, I cried both times, both times. But by that third time, I had no more tears. I had no more tears. I knew that I still loved him. I knew that. I knew that I was probably gonna always love him, you know, because we've been together what decades.
Mm-hmm.
So and you know, and we had some really, really, really good times. You know, a lot of the good times outweighed the bad times. It's
Correct.
just the bad times are the ones that broke the camel. You know, broke
Mm-hmm.
was the straw that broke the camel's back. So at that time when it was final and I had nothing to say about what he did, he had nothing to say about what I did. I can say my divorce was an oxymoron. It was the worst, best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay, the worst best thing, huh?
Yes, because I found out who I was during that time. It was difficult. It was ugly. And when I tell you it was ugly, I had to see some ugly shit about myself. You
Okay.
know, I went to therapy. It's okay, people, to go to therapy. I know
Mm-hmm.
they don't teach us to go to therapy. First of all, in the black families, mostly. Also, they don't teach us to go to therapy because they want us to keep what's done in the house to stay in the house. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the Southern way. But it's okay to go to therapy. You know, I went to therapy. I had to get real ugly. I had to see some ugly stuff about myself in order to get to where I am today. And had I not done that, I would not be able to help so many people like I do now. I'm very transparent, because my story is somebody else's story that they can't tell, you know,
Absolutely.
or they don't have the courage to tell. And I pride myself on being able to listen to them and acknowledge them and to be able to relate to them, you know, because like we talked before, when you say we always feel like we're in this alone, going through that process, I did think I was the only person in the whole entire damn world, the universe, that had ever been through a divorce. Even though I went to
Mm-hmm.
that first one, but that didn't really count, you know what I mean? Because we ain't had nothing. You know what I'm
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this. Um, the tears, the two
saying?
hearings, the last hearing when you was like, forget it, like I'm gonna go ahead and go forth with this.
Hmm.
Were those tears of joy or tears of sorrow?
The last hearing, I didn't cry at all. I walked out. I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
I'm Miss Wilson still, and I'm gonna be Miss Wilson to the end of time.
Okay.
Baby. I don't care how many of other ones you marry. All us gonna be up in here, kumbaya. We all Miss Wilson.
Okay. Okay. So you
So the
still
other one,
carried
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
his last name, correct?
Girl, yes.
Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
will
Oh,
My
come
children
through.
carry that name. My credentials carry that name. We
Okay,
will
come.
forever be yoked.
Okay, come through. Okay, so now therapy is in play because, like you said
Yes.
again before, we may mention this last week. You know, as Black community. We're molded on let's pray about it. Now I never really did hear too much. Will go in the house, stay in the house, because I was the child that if I went on my auntie Pam house, I was gonna tell my mama blah 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 blah. I was gonna get a whooping when I got home, but I never did hear what goes on in the house, stay in the house. But I definitely understand what you mean. So now the divorce is in play. Latoya is finding out who she is. She's going to therapy, and we at therapy session after session. Tell us at what point was you like, girl, I got to get my shit together, like to be to the self validation, because you're lost, you beyond lost at that point. You lost all the way up to now. You are self validating yourself. Tell me what that was like.
I will never forget it. I remember I went to therapy and I cried every day. Every time we met, I was crying. Then one day I was in therapy and I didn't cry, and it was like this weight that was lifted off me, and I didn't even notice that I didn't cry because I cried so damn much. I know she needed to get on the couch as much as I was crying. But I cried so much, and then one day I didn't.
So what were you crying for?
I don't know if you've ever been divorced or not, but when you go through a divorce, it literally feels like you're attending a funeral. Like it feels like you're attending a funeral.
Thank you, Latoya, for joining us on today's segment. We're having some issues that's going on, but I would like to close out today's segment with understanding that when we are lost, we all have or will be lost at some point in time in our life. And in the midst of us being lost, we have to understand who we are and whose we are. And in the midst of finding ourselves, we have to understand that no matter what's in front of us, if you attempt to find yourself, you can be found. And in the midst of finding yourself, you have to set boundaries and understand who you are. I want to leave you with this quote that I seen on Danita Coveton book. Is first, know your worth. Second, control your emotions. And third, never settle. You have heard it directly from Real Talk with T. Holmes. Thank you. Have a great evening.